To Yanaka, king of Videha, came once Yanavalkya, meaning to keep in silence the secret wisdom. But once, when Yanaka and Yanavalkya had been holding a discussion at the offering of the sacred fire, Yanavalkya promised to grant the king any wish, and the king chose to ask questions according to his desire. Therefore, Yanaka, king of Videha, began and asked this question: Yanavalkya, what is the light of man? The sun is his light, O king, he answered. It is by the light of the sun that a man rests, goes forth, does his work, and returns. This is so in truth, Yanavalkya. And when the sun is set, what is the light of man? The moon then becomes his light, he replied. It is by the light of the moon that a man rests, goes forth, does his work, and returns. This is so in truth, Yanavalkya. And when the sun and the moon are set, what is then the light of man? Fire then becomes his light. It is by the light of fire that a man rests, goes forth, does his work, and returns. And when the sun and moon are set, Yanavalkya, and the fire is sunk down, what is then the light of man? Voice then becomes his light. And by the voice as his light, he rests, goes forth, does his work, and returns. Therefore, in truth, O king, when a man cannot see, even his own hand, if he hears a voice, after that he wends his way. This is so in truth, Yanavalkya. And when the sun is set, Yanavalkya, and the moon is also set, and the fire has sunk down, and the voice is silent, what is then the light of man? The soul then becomes his light, and by the light of the soul he rests, goes forth, does his work, and returns. What is the soul? Asked then King Videha. Yanavalkya spoke. It is the consciousness of life. It is the light of the heart. For ever remaining the same, the spirit of man wanders in the world of waking life and also in the world of dreams. He seems to wander in thought. He seems to wander in joy. But in the rest of deep sleep, he goes beyond this world and beyond its fleeting forms. For in truth, when the spirit of man comes to life and takes a body, then he is joined with mortal evils. But when at death he goes beyond, then he leaves evil behind. The spirit of man has two dwellings, this world and the world beyond. There is also a third dwelling place, the land of sleep and dreams. Resting in this borderland, the spirit of man can behold his dwelling in this world and in the other world afar. And wandering in this borderland, he beholds behind him the sorrows of this world, and in front of him he sees the joy of the beyond. When the spirit of man retires to rest, he takes with him materials from this all-containing world, and he creates and destroys in his own glory and radiance. Then the spirit of man shines in his own light. In that land there are no chariots, no teams of horses, nor roads, but he creates his own chariots, his teams of horses and roads. There are no joys in that region, and no pleasures, nor delights, but he creates his own joy, his own pleasures and delights. In that land there are no lakes, no lotus ponds, nor streams, but he creates his own lotus ponds and streams, for the spirit of man is creator. It was said in these verses, abandoning his body by the gate of dreams, the spirit beholds in awakening his senses, sleeping. Then he takes his own light and returns to his home. This spirit of golden radiance, the wandering swan everlasting, leaving his nest below in charge of the breath of life, the immortal spirit soars afar from his nest. He moves in all regions, wherever he loves. This spirit of golden radiance, the wandering swan everlasting, and in the region of dreams, wandering above and below, the spirit makes for himself innumerable subtle creations. Sometimes he seems to rejoice in the love of fairy beauties. Sometimes he laughs or beholds awe-inspiring, terrible visions. People see his field of pleasure, but he can never be seen. So they say that one should not wake up a person suddenly, for hard to heal would he be if the spirit did not return. They say also that dreams are like the waking state, for what is seen when awake is seen again in a dream. What is true, and that is that the spirit shines in his own light. I give you 1,000 gifts, said the king of Vidya, but tell me of the higher wisdom that leads to liberation. When the spirit of man has had his joy in the land of dreams, and in his wanderings there has beholden good and evil, he then returns to this world of waking, but whatever he has seen does not return with him, for the spirit of man is free. And when he has had his joy in this world of waking, and in his wanderings has beholden good and evil, he returns by the same path again to the land of dreams, even as a great fish swims along the two banks of a river. First along the eastern bank, and then the western bank. In the same way the spirit of man moves along beside his two dwellings in this waking world and land of sleep and dreams.